Hello, I'm back again. And today I wanted to share a little tip with you that you may or may not be aware of. It's something that I'm doing to firstly reduce my carbon footprint and secondly to save us money, so it's a bit of a frugal tip. As I said in my previous video, my income has gone down, but on top of that our expenditure has gone out because my son has gone to uni, so we're having some rather hefty bills in that area. And so we're trying to save a bit of money. Let me get straight into this video. What we're doing at the moment is we are having a no spend week, and obviously today's Friday, so we're coming towards the end of that week. I basically said to my husband this week, because we've had such an expensive month, you know, we've forked out £5,000 this month on different things, over and above what we would normally spend. And so I said, we're not spending anything this week, and hopefully we can go into next week doing the same. And that is simply happening by eating up the food that is in the house, not having any other unnecessary expenditure. So just as an example, on my husband's day off, we'll quite often just go out for a coffee or maybe a bite of lunch. And we discussed that. I think we'd perhaps forgotten about the no spend week so quickly. And I did sort of say to my husband, oh, actually, we're not meant to be spending any money, are we? And his comment was, you know, yeah, but you've still got to live and enjoy life. But I said to him, I enjoy having lunch with you just as much if we're at home in our own kitchen, sat at our own kitchen table, as I would if we went out. I just like spending time with him on his day off. So we didn't go out for lunch. So we've been using up the food that's in our pantry and our freezer, and there is plenty of food in there to keep us going. We've been trying to reduce our food waste for quite a few months anyway. So that sometimes means having the same thing for tea tonight as we had for tea last night, tea, dinner, supper, whatever you choose to call it. That has happened. You know, there have been a couple of times when we've said, well, you know, we've still got some vegetarian lasagna from last night, so let's have that again tonight. And I'm quite happy doing that, especially if the food's good and I've enjoyed it. I quite look forward to having it a second time. And it's also involved, there are times when we've sort of said, what shall we have for dinner tonight? And I've looked in the cupboard and I've said, well, we've got this needs using up, or in the fridge we've got that that's a day past its date. And so we've had those things. Can be difficult, sometimes you don't fancy those things, but we are definitely throwing away a lot less food. Another little tip that you might not be aware of is that if your freezer is absolutely full of food, as ours is at the moment, it is more efficient, it runs better. And so it's advised that you keep your freezer full. Now, because I've told you we're not planning on doing any food shopping until we've got through the food that's in the freezer, what are we going to do then in order to keep it full as we're eating that food and it is slowly becoming more and more empty? So one of the things that I do is, as I take a food item out, if it leaves a space in the freezer, then I'll probably fill up my giant ice cube trays and put that in to fill up the space. I love ice in my drinks anyway, so that's great. I love to, in fact, there's no ice in the freezer at the moment because the freezer's too full. So once there's space, I'll put some ice in there. And then as we eat more food and more space becomes available, we have some ice packs, which are not in the freezer at the moment because one, it's full, and two, as the weather's cooler, we're not likely to be taking picnics anywhere where we might need these to be cold and frozen. But if the freezer's got space, I shall put them back in to fill up that space. And it has the added bonus, I suppose, of if your freezer should go off for any reason, if you have a power cut or something like that, because these are in there frozen, then of course they're keeping your food frozen for longer, as well as making your freezer run more efficiently. So, and then other things I've got that I can put in the freezer as it gets empty, because I am planning on running it right down, is I've got a couple of these freezable bags. This is a bottle bag which contains like a gel, and you put that in the freezer and the gel freezes, and then if I were to go somewhere to buy and be buying a cold liquid, or if I were going on a picnic and wanted to take a bottle of something with me, I can put it into this bag and it will keep cool. And then I have another one here, which is it's a children's design, but it's a little fold-up lunch bag. So that freezes as well, and then you use it to carry your lunch to work. Again, at the moment, I'm not taking my lunch to work. I only need to do that in the summer when my working hours change. And also, I only need a frozen lunch bag when the weather's hot. But, you know, for now, I'll use them to fill up that space in the freezer to keep it running more efficiently. And hopefully saving us money on our electricity bill, as well as saving the planet. Another thing I've done at the beginning of this sort of no spend challenge was I made an inventory of everything that's in the freezer. So I basically, every time you open your freezer, you're letting warm air in there and you're letting cold air out. And the longer you have that freezer door open, then the harder your freezer has to work to cool itself back down once you've closed the door again. So what I would do is I opened the freezer, took out one of the drawers and then closed it again so it was staying cold. That drawer that I took out, I would take everything out of it, clean the drawer, put all the food back, and as I was putting it back, I made a list of what was in there and I wrote everything down. And the reason for that is, firstly, it got my freezer cleaned out, it got everything, put everything back nice and neatly so that the space was optimised to its best. But also it means that when I'm deciding what we're going to have for dinner tonight, instead of opening the freezer door, and what often happens, and I caught my husband the other day and I told him off, is he's opened the freezer door, he's pulled a drawer out and he's rooting around in that drawer and he's looking for something. And I said, what are you looking for? He says, I'm looking for peas. I said, well, close the freezer and ask me. And I'll go to my list and I said, middle drawer. The peas are in the middle drawer, so at least he's not having to root through 3 different drawers. He then said, I was looking in the middle drawer anyway. But the idea is that it saves all that rooting around and spending a long time with the freezer door opening, allowing warm air to go into your freezer and the cold air to come out, and causing your freezer to use more electricity and work harder. So that's my little tip for today of one of the things that we're doing, well, 2 of the things that we're doing to try and save some money this week. Firstly is eating the food that's in the house, and secondly is not opening that freezer door too frequently and trying to make it run more efficiently. So whilst I'm here and on the subject, besides my freezer being full, so is my pantry. This is my pantry cupboard, and this is pretty full as well of tins and packets of things, and I intend to try and eat up a lot of what's on there as well. So hopefully we won't have another shopping bill this month. Well, we've got a week left now, haven't we? But when we started this challenge, we had 2 weeks left in September, and I want hopefully not to have to spend any money until we get paid in October. I do need to tell you though that to make this possible is that I drive an electric car, so I don't need to spend money putting fuel in the car. Obviously when I put it on to charge, it is increasing my electricity bill a little bit, but it is so much cheaper than buying fuel for the car. I think we've worked out it's a quarter of the price probably. I think it used to cost us something like £100 a month for fuel, and once we got the electric car it was costing us around about £20 a month for electric, so it's a massive difference. It might even have been less than £20 a month. So I'm not having to spend any money these next 2, it looks like someone's coming to my door. Maybe not, dogs are going a bit crazy. I'm not having to spend any money over these 2 months putting fuel in my car, so there's nothing else that I need to spend any cash on. Food and fuel were the regular things, so I am very optimistic that we will be successful. Obviously there are a few little essentials that we may have to buy. We do have our milk delivered to the door, so we're not having to go out and buy milk, but of course that is being paid for by direct debit, because my husband drinks regular milk. I do drink plant-based milks. And if I run out of my plant-based milk, I have the facilities to make some more. I have, I think I've got some coconut milk powder actually, which I would just add water to, or I've got oats if I wanted to make oat milk. So yeah, the fridge, on the other hand, I don't know if you can see it from there, is pretty much empty. Not very good. Hang on. You can see a tin of cat food and some jars of things like pickle and horseradish and so on. Let's close it so we're not wasting energy. But there is not much in there. But you know what? We've managed. We thought, okay, my husband said, oh, I wouldn't mind some cheese. We've run out of cheese. I don't really eat cheese myself, but I'm like, well, you can manage without the cheese, can't you? So, yeah, the fridge has been empty for a week, but apart from milk, like I said, there's not much else in there. I keep my water in there because I like to drink cold water. My husband has some juice in there. But that's it, there's the cat food and the ketchup. Oh, and whilst I'm on the subject of ketchup, I've realised I've just gone over 10 minutes, but never mind. We did run out of ketchup, so I made my own. I've made a video before about making my own ketchup, but I wasn't doing that regularly because my son was complaining. He's now gone to university, so he's not here. I was able to buy tomato ketchup in a glass bottle, and so I just started doing that. I started paying more to get less, but it was in a glass bottle rather than buy those big plastic bottles. And that's what we were doing. But when I ran out of this, I realised that I had all the ingredients in the house to make some more. So in theory, it didn't cost me anything. Okay, it would have initially cost me those ingredients, but they were in the house anyway. And some of them are things like onion powder, which I, you know, there's loads of it. It's cheap, you know. The only thing that really, if I'd wanted to make some more of this, and if I would probably need to go and buy, would be tomato puree. So yeah, I was kind of chuffed with that. I thought, oh, I've run out of ketchup. Haven't had to spend any money getting some more because I've got the ingredients to make some. So quite chuffed with myself. Having extra time on my hands, you see, because I've cut my workload in half, has meant that I've got time to do things like that. Anyway, until next time, thank you for watching, and I'll be back again soon.